You know that feeling, right? You spend hours, maybe even a whole weekend, buried in a book or cramming a new topic. And then a week later, poof, it's just gone. It's one of the most frustrating things ever. But what if I told you the problem isn't your brain? It's not about your memory at all. It's about the method you're using. Today, we're going to dive into a framework that can completely change how you learn, turning those lessons you keep forgetting into knowledge that actually sticks around for good. So, why does this happen? Why do we forget pretty much everything we try to learn? It's so easy to blame ourselves, right? To think, ugh, my memory is just terrible, like it's this leaky bucket that can't hold anything. But here's the thing, what if that's just the completely wrong way to think about it?
The hard truth is, for most of us, we forget because we never really learned it to begin with. We've been using a method that's just broken. See, we think learning is about collecting facts, like stacking books on a shelf. But that's not it at all. Real, lasting learning is about transforming that information. And that brings us to this huge, critical difference. On one side, you've got what most of us do. Passive consumption. Reading, highlighting, rewatching a lecture. It's like letting information just wash over you. But on the other side, there's active transformation. This is where the magic happens. This is where you actually grab an idea, you wrestle with it, you pull it apart, and then you rebuild it using your own words, your own understanding. Your mind isn't a filing cabinet. It's more like a spider web of connections, and it only holds on to the things it's actively worked on and transformed. Okay, so how do we actually do that? How do we make that shift from passive to active? Well, we need a new playbook, and that's exactly what we've got. We're about to walk through 3 simple but unbreakable rules. These are inspired by the legendary physicist Richard Feynman, and I promise they will completely change the way you think about learning. All right, let's jump right in. Rule number 1 is simplify to see. Now, Feynman had this core belief. If you really, truly get something, you should be able to explain it in the absolute simplest terms. And this isn't about dumbing things down or making them shallow. No, it's about reaching a level of clarity so deep that all the confusing, complex stuff just melts away. And the process for this, the famous Feynman technique, is super straightforward. First, you just pick whatever concept you want to learn. Second, and this is the most important part, you pretend you're teaching it to a kid. You have to use simple words, no jargon. And here's the kicker. Whenever you get stuck or you find yourself using a complicated term, bam, you've just found a gap in your own understanding. That's your cue to go back to the book or the video or whatever and really dig in until you can explain that part simply. And Feynman, man, he was a master at this. Instead of some crazy long definition, he'd say something like, quantum mechanics? Oh, it's like a die spinning through the air. It's in every possible state at once, right up until it lands. Or electricity isn't some abstract flow of electrons. No, just think of it like water flowing through a pipe. These simple, concrete images, they just stick in your brain. Why? Because our brains are wired for stories and pictures, not for dry, abstract equations. This really all comes down to his famous quote. It perfectly captures the whole idea. It's not just a clever line, It's a tool, a way to diagnose your own understanding. If your explanation comes out all fuzzy and complicated, well, that means your understanding is still fuzzy and complicated. True simplicity, that's the ultimate sign you've mastered something. Okay, that's rule 1. Now, let's build on that with rule number 2. Recreate to retain. See, it's not enough to just passively get an idea. To really, truly own it, to make it part of you, you've got to be able to recreate it from scratch. Think about this. The actual moment of learning doesn't happen while you're reading or watching. It happens the second you close the book and try to explain it out loud. That struggle, that act of recreating the information, is what forces your brain to build strong, lasting connections. Bottom line, the knowledge you create is the knowledge you keep. There's actually a name for this, a technique that expert language learners use all the time. It's called reverse teaching. And it's so powerful because when you try to teach something, even if you're just talking to your dog or an empty room, your brain has nowhere to hide. It can't fake it. It's forced to confront its own confusion, find all the gaps, and turn that jumbled mess of ideas into something clear and logical. And it's right there in that moment of reorganizing that the learning becomes permanent. So what does this look like in practice? Well, here are some super simple, powerful ways to do it. The next time you learn something new, just try one of these. Record a 1-minute voice memo on your phone explaining the big idea. Or grab a piece of paper and try to draw a mind map of it, totally from memory. The goal here isn't to be perfect. It's all about the struggle, the act of trying to recreate it. That struggle is what literally forges the memory in your brain. All right, so we've got the techniques down. Simplify and recreate. But let's be real. Techniques are pretty useless if you don't use them consistently. That brings us to our third and final rule, systemize for success. This is all about moving beyond just one-off actions and building an entire system, an environment that makes learning happen almost automatically. And this really gets at the difference between how we think we should learn and what actually works. We all default to brute force, right? Those long, intense, painful cramming sessions. But they're exhausting and they just don't work long term. A smart system, on the other hand, is all about small, consistent, daily habits. It's a total reframe. Discipline isn't about how hard you can go in one burst. It's about building a simple routine that just naturally pulls you forward every single day. I mean, just think about the incredible power of a system like this. 20 minutes a day. It sounds like nothing, right? Almost insignificant. But do the math. That adds up to over 2 hours a week. And over a whole year, that's more than 120 hours of focused learning. While everyone else is sitting around waiting for motivation to strike, your system is just chugging along, moving you forward one tiny step at a time. That, right there, is how giants are built.
So how do you build a system like this? Well, you can think about it like a physicist would. First, create positive gravity. Surround yourself with the books, the podcasts, the people that naturally pull you towards learning. Then, reduce friction. Make it dead simple to start and really hard to get distracted. Put your phone in another room. Next, establish rhythm by creating those daily rituals that eventually become second nature. And finally, leverage resonance. Intentionally engage with brilliant minds and powerful ideas, and just let their energy and insights lift you up.
So there you have it, the 3 rules: simplify, recreate, and systemize. But honestly, underneath all of these rules, there's something even more important. It's a mindset, and this mindset is the real difference maker. It's what separates the people who just learn a few things from the people who truly become masters of their craft. So what's this genius mindset all about? Well, first, it's about embracing curiosity and actually finding joy in the process, instead of treating learning like a chore you have to suffer through. It's about seeing pressure not as a threat, but as the very tool that forges growth. It's about actually adopting the identity of a learner. And maybe most importantly, it's about being brave enough to say those 3 magic words: I don't know. Because that, right there, is where all real learning begins. I absolutely love this next idea because it completely flips the script on our whole idea of genius. We think it's about suffering and grinding it out, but the real genius is the one who finds pleasure in discovery, who makes learning feel like a game. Curiosity is the engine that drives intelligence. And think about it. When you learn something with genuine joy, you're tying it to emotion, and anything tied to emotion is what gets locked into your memory forever. And finally, and this is a big one, we have to totally change how we feel about difficulty. We're conditioned to run from it, to seek comfort. But comfort doesn't make you stronger, it makes you weaker. You have to remember, pressure is what forges brilliance. It turns coal into a diamond. Fire is what tempers steel. And in the exact same way, challenges are what make your mind strong. Mistakes aren't proof that you're failing, they're the raw materials you need to grow. Because at the end of the day, learning isn't just about stuffing your head with facts. It's about transformation. Every single concept you truly understand, every new skill you master, it literally changes you. It changes who you are and how you see the world. So the final question isn't just, what are you going to learn today? The real question is, who are you going to become?